As negotiations trickle on, it's only a matter of time before Iran's sanctions are lifted. Now, when that happens, oil prices are expected to tank as Iran digs deeper into the Persian Gulf. Here's a look at what's going on in the region. Persian Gulf states hold 2/3 of the world's known oil reserves. Saudi Arabia is the clear leader, with Iran a distant second. But Iran has said they want to nearly double its crude exports as soon as the sanctions are lifted to battle its competitors for market share. Joining me now to talk about how all of this could shake up the region and ease the burden at the pump is Daniel Wagner in New York, the CEO of Country Risk Solutions. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
So what's the likelihood that Iran's actually going to be able to increase their production from 1.2 million barrels to 2.3 million barrels a day? And if possible, how long do you think it'll take them to get there?
Well, we first have to, I think, discuss whether they're going to get over the finish line in Vienna. I don't think it's a certainty at all that the negotiations are going to end favorably. If you look at the posturing that has been going on both sides, you might think that they're near the finish line, but there are some very important issues that have yet to be resolved. Now, in answer to your question, in 2004, Iran was producing about 4 million barrels per day, which is about 5% of the world's supply. For them to get up to that supply again, I think is going to take many years indeed, and the kind of doubling of production that you're talking about, I think is going to take a while as well. The simple reason being that they have to have buyers, and in this kind of a marketplace where the market is actually depressed, getting those kind of buyers would be very different than if it was a more robust marketplace. So I think we're talking a matter of months at a minimum.
And that leads into my next question. So Saudi Arabia is going to fight to hold on to its dominance of the market share by keeping their exports high. So who do you project would be the buyers for Iran if they are able to be reintroduced without sanctions?
Well, as you know, the landscape for the global oil supply has changed dramatically in the last 12 to 18 months with the advent of and popularity of fracking. That has changed entirely who buys what from whom and when. When the Saudis decided that they wanted to keep their market share and were permitting the global oil supply to tank the way that it did over the last 6 to 12 months, they were basically anticipating that Iran was going to be coming online. And they want to make that as difficult as possible. I think that not having access to buyers for as long as Iran has been restricted from doing so, and suddenly having access is going to paint a real challenge for the Iranians.
So there's concern in the region that the future surge in production for Iran is only going to heighten the tensions between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So what are the Saudi leaders concerned about?
Well, I think it's very simple, and the Israelis, ironically, would make a similar argument as the Saudis are likely to make, which is if Iran was as successful in causing as much trouble in the region as it has with the sanctions in place, with the restrictions in place on their finances, what might they do when these are lifted? That's the real concern for the Saudis, especially at a time when tensions are as high as they are throughout the region, with the Islamic State, with some of the attacks that are going on in Saudi Arabia. Tensions are as high as I've seen them. I think the Saudis are very concerned that the Iranians will have a really enhanced ability to make trouble in the region, and particularly for Saudi Arabia. This is their primary concern.
Hypothetically, Iran is reintroduced to the market. How is this going to affect the everyday person here in the U.S. and abroad?
I don't know that the U.S. is going to see much of an impact. I mean, we're largely self-sufficient at this point when it comes to oil and gas production, and we're now one of the world's leading producers. So I don't know that there's going to be much of an impact. I think it'll really only impact those markets where Iran is successful in getting new customers to sign on to long-term contracts. And we don't know what exactly those countries are going to be. But again, it'll take a number of months before that happens.
Okay, great. Daniel Wagner, thank you so much for joining us, from CEO of Country Risk Solutions. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.